Hello everyone. So I know I touched it in my testimony video, but I didn't fully go into what happened, the ins and outs of it, the process of abortion, and just the whole story really. So I wanted to just come on and just give my side of the story, just say why I did it, why I made that decision, and how later on I regretted that decision, but also how it's conflicting because I'm not sure if I still would make the same decision if I would have been a Christian at the time. I might have wanted to go after God, knowing what God could offer me, knowing that God can make anything possible. But at the same time, everything that I went through in the relationship, it wasn't great. It wasn't a healthy and happy place to raise a child. And I kind of understand why I made that decision. So let's talk about it. So basically, I'll do a whole video about the relationship and what happened in the relationship, and it's really tough, right? Because basically I don't want to talk bad on somebody, like one of my exes, or in any of these videos I don't want to talk badly about somebody, whether it's an ex, whether it's a friend, whether it's somebody I don't know, whether it's a family member, whoever it is. I'm not here to drag people in the mud. I'm not people to bring people down. That didn't even make sense. I'm not here to bring people down. I just want to motivate people, inspire people. Let's all progress together. Let's all help each other. But in order for me to be able to grow and progress, I needed to be real about my story. I needed to be real with myself about what happened, what I've been through, how God has helped me out of that, how God has brought me out of the valleys and darkness of death, how God has changed my life. He's inspired me, he's helped me. And for me to be able to let you guys know how he's helped me and how he can help you too, I have to be honest about my story. It can be hard sometimes to just come on here and start opening your heart up. Some of these things, most things that I'm going to talk about on here, are things that the only person who knows those things might be my husband. It might be 2 or 3 people maximum. I'm not the type of person to go out and be talking about things. I'm not the type of person to open my heart up like that, because I feel like I need to protect my heart. I feel like I guard my heart quite a lot. So I'm not really somebody that would come and like a lot of these stories, people that I know, people that I'm friends with, people that are my family, people I've worked with, are going to be shocked. They're probably going to know more about me by watching my videos on here than I've ever opened my mouth to tell them in life. So be prepared if you're one of those people. Might be a bit of a shocking video, might be a bit of a shocking time on this channel, but just know that God is here. God is guiding us to do these things. Sometimes things that we find hard in life, for me now, coming here to talk about my life, to talk about things I've been through, to talk about things that have been done to me, that's a really tough thing. That's a hard thing. I find that hard. Sometimes I think to myself, this video, for example, I've been wanting to speak about my past. I've been wanting to speak about things that have happened to me, but I find it hard. This video, I don't know how to go about it. I've been praying about it. I've been asking God for guidance. I know that he's going to lead me in spirit to say the things I want to say, to get my point across. But I just don't want, for me, I've grown from those things. I'm past those things. Those things are things of the past. They're not things that affect me now. They're not things that I'm involved in now. They're not things that happen in my life now. So, and I think we all deserve the grace. We all deserve an opportunity to be better, to do better. We all grow. I don't know my ex now. I don't know what he's up to in his life now. He might be the same person he was when we were in a relationship. He could be a completely changed, transformed person. He could be the most amazing boyfriend to his girlfriend now. I don't know if he has a girlfriend, but if he has a girlfriend, he could be the most amazing boyfriend. He could be preparing to be the most amazing boyfriend. He could be a husband now. He could be preparing to be the most amazing husband. I don't know. You never know what God's done in his life. And I don't need to know. I don't need to know those things. I don't want to know those things. But I'm just saying, if you hear my stories, I don't want you to be against somebody because of me. I don't want you to think that somebody's done the worst because of me, or you're angry at somebody because of me. You think somebody's horrible, or you think that they can't progress. God can change anybody. God can transform anybody. He transformed me. I also wasn't the best in my relationships. I wasn't great. Like, I've spoken a little bit about it already, but I was an angry person. I wasn't emotionally intelligent. I was a bit unstable. Like, it's hard for me to say these things now, because now that I'm completely opposite from what I used to be, to say like you were emotionally unstable when now you're so stable, that's a tough thing to come out and say, because I don't want people to judge me based off of my past too. Like, I don't want people to say, oh, yeah, she was like this or like that. But I don't really care. Like, I'm not really bothered about the judgment, but it's more of people knowing who I am now, who I am today. People knowing that I'm here for God's heart. Those things don't define me. They don't define who I am. They don't define who my exes were. They don't define you. They don't define any of us. We've all done good and bad in our lives. We've all done things out of fear, done things out of sin, done things out of different places. Like, there's always a reason behind why we do things in life. So when I explain my story, I don't want you to think that I'm judging somebody or throwing dirt on them. I think we all have that chance to be healed and to be loving and to be kind. We all have the chance to be great in God's glory. So anyway, let's get into the video. So at the time, I believe I was 17. I like to kind of forget things, because if something hasn't been a great thing in my life, I don't like to dwell on it too much, like ages, numbers, dates, whatever else. I don't like to dwell on those things, because I feel like if I dwell on it, I'll be negative, like I'll be feeling down about it. So I'm telling this story not because I believe abortion is right. I don't believe it's right anymore. I don't believe it's right now in my life. I don't believe it was right. Like, even at the time, morally, I was kind of questioning, is it right? Is that the thing I want to do? But I really didn't know enough about it. I wasn't a Christian at the time. I didn't know what God's plan was, what God's miracles looked like. I didn't know where my life was going. So I made that decision. And basically what happened was, I was 17 at the time. I was in college. I was studying A levels. I was doing biology, chemistry, maths, and psychology. And like, things were going well. When I started college, things were going well. I was enjoying life. Like, I'd gotten a little job at a restaurant. I was doing a few hours a week, but nothing too intense, just a little bit. Then I was going to college, like meeting new people. I had my little girly group, like we were getting along. I had I don't know, like my life was just in a good place. Things were going well. Studying was going well. Everything was good. And I went through a lot in school, so kind of like the last 2 years of school, I wasn't really there. Like, I would take a lot of time out of school. So because of that, I was just surprised that I could manage to get into college doing those subjects. Like, in all honesty, I wasn't really prepared for those subjects, but once I got in, I knew I had to do it. I knew I had to go after it. And then I met my boyfriend at the time. So just to give a little background into it, we were working together in the restaurant. And when we first met, he was very nice, very friendly, like all seemed well, like we were getting along, we were laughing, we went to the same college, which was something that kind of like drew us closer to each other. So as we were talking to one another, we realized we went to the same college. We would go to college, but we were doing different subjects. He was in the year above me, so we were in different years, like we had different friend groups. We'd never bumped into one another at college before. And then when we started working together, we sort of like used to see each other around college, say hi, that kind of thing. So then one day he asked for my number, like we exchanged numbers, we got to know each other, started messaging, like everything seemed completely normal. It was good. Like, he seemed like a nice guy. At the time, so I was a virgin at the time. I'd never been with anybody before, never even like done anything sexual before. So at the time, I like obviously asked him, like, when you start getting to know each other, I asked him like, oh, what about him? Like, has he been sexual before? He told me that he's been with one girl. They like dated before, and that's his only person he's been with, which anyway I later found out to be a lie, but that is what it is. But that's just the reason why I say that part, is because that's kind of like where the everything began from. So the red flags, I would say, that I didn't know at first. So we started dating, started getting to know each other. Everything was good at first, like the first couple of months, like things were going well. I think now looking back on it, there were some red flags even in the first couple of months that I look back on and I think, like, that wasn't normal. If I were to have the wisdom I have now, I would have stopped them. So one of those being the first time he introduced me to his friends. So we went to a it's like a football, it's not a ground, like what, I don't know if like goals a like UK thing, is that everywhere? But there's something called goals where basically it's like little football pitches. So it was like one of those, but it wasn't a goals specific one, but it was like a football pitch basically. So like all the floodlights and like that kind of football pitch. I don't know much about football, so it was that kind of football pitch. So we went there and he went to play football with his friends, went to meet his friends. So I was the only girl there. So all of his friends were coming over to say hi, like, hi, my name's such and such, my name's such and such. Oh, nice to meet you. So I didn't really think anything of it. I mean, this is my first dating experience. Like, I've never dated anybody before. I've never known guys before, what guys are like. I never knew that men and women are so different. So that's something I've definitely learned in my life now. But I didn't really think much into it. I just thought, okay, his friends coming to say hi to me. Like, I said hello, and then he became angry about it. So you could tell he was frustrated. He threw the football, walked off, stormed off. So then I wasn't sure, like, I didn't know that's what it was about at the time. So we later got on the train to go home. At the time we weren't driving, we were too young. We got on the train to go back home, and as we were on the train, he was telling me how he's so angry about it, like he doesn't want me to know his friends, etc, etc. But for me, like, I wasn't getting to know his friends, we were just saying hello, that was it. So I didn't realise at the time that was a red flag. I just thought maybe it's a misunderstanding. I've also never been in a relationship before, so I didn't know the normal, natural relationship. My parents aren't together at the time. I did have step parents, but some of those relationships I wouldn't say were like my dad and stepmom. I didn't see too much of their relationship because I didn't grow up living in their house, so I can't comment too much on that. I saw some things over the years, like obviously you do still see certain things, but in terms of the daily in and out, I didn't see too much. Then my mom and stepdad at the time, like, their relationship was like quite new. Like, I think when I was 17, maybe they've been together for a couple of years or so, but it was new. It wasn't like a thing that I've grown up with. So growing up, it was just me, my brother and my mom in the house. So we didn't really have a lot of interaction with men in the house. Like, we'd go and see my dad every couple of weeks for the weekend, but it wasn't something where like a man lived with us 24/7. We're seeing a relationship 24/7. So for me, like, I didn't know what a normal relationship was at the time. I knew certain things, like obviously somebody beating you up, it's not normal. Like, somebody, I don't know, like certain, like cheating on you, that's not normal. Like, I knew those kind of things, but I didn't know things like what's emotional abuse, what's and I'm not necessarily saying those things happen, by the way. I'm just saying, like take what you want to take out of the story. But I'm just saying, I didn't know these things happen. Like, I didn't know that like abuse in other ways of physical abuse was a thing. I didn't know that like, I just didn't know much about relationships. So we get into the relationship. He did that was a little bit odd to me, but I thought maybe it's a misunderstanding. Maybe his friend is like a crazy guy or something, I don't know. So I didn't really think too much into it. Then as the relationship progressed, I now started seeing more things that I thought, okay, this is a little bit of a red flag. So an example is, so we were waiters in a restaurant together. So one day I was serving a table, and they were outside, and like you had like an outside bit to the restaurant, you had an inside bit. So I was going in and out to bring their food back and forth, and they have something called sections in restaurants. So if you've ever worked in a restaurant, you'll probably know. I don't know if all restaurants do it that way, but for me, the restaurants that I've worked in when I was younger, they used to do it that way, where you each have a section. So it's like a group of tables, and you might have 5 tables, 10 tables, whatever restaurant it is, however they do it on the day. Like, it can change depending on how busy it is that day, depending on how many tables you have, etc. So you get like a group of tables, and that's who you serve for the night. That's who you look after for the night, for the day, whatever shift you're working. So I was given this group of guys as a table. So I'm now going back and forth. My partner at the time was given another group of tables, which is right next to my group of tables. So then I'm going back and forth, bringing food to them, drinks, whatever it is, taking orders, like all the usual stuff. And then my partner at the time, he comes in raging. Like, he walks into the restaurant absolutely raging. He throws the what are they called, like, it's like the little serving trays that you put drinks on. He throws one of them, like, not throws it like across the restaurant or something, but he throws it onto where the serving trays are. Like, instead of placing it gently, like, he throws it. Like, you can tell he's angry. So then, before I even had a chance to ask him what's wrong, he came charging up to me, and he said, oh, I'm taking over. I'm not serving, like, you shouldn't, serve such and such table anymore. I'm taking over. So then I thought, whoa, like, what's going on? So I asked him what's going on, and he said, oh, they were saying you're cute, and I saw them staring at your what word can I use for it, like your bum, basically. So that's not the word he used at the time, but I don't want to be profane. I don't want to use words that he used, maybe. So he said, oh, I saw them staring at your bum, and they made a comment that you're cute, so I'm gonna take over. So I said, okay, that's fine. And now at the time, like, even things like this, I kind of, like, in a weird way, like, if I'm being honest, I thought, oh, that's cute. Like, oh, he loves me, and he wants me to, he doesn't want other guys to look at me, and he doesn't want other guys to comment on me, and oh, that's so cute. But, and I'm not saying that's normal, like, even now as a wife, I'm sure my husband doesn't want other guys, like, lusting over me, those kind of things. I also don't want other women, like, doing those things to him. But right now, like, all of us as a human race, nobody wants somebody, like, so into their partner. But there's a way to go about things. So now, right now, if somebody were to do that to me or my husband, you would be our laughing point of the night. Like, we would be laughing about it later, to be like, because we respect ourselves. Like, if somebody were to say something to me, I would tell them that that's not respectful to me. Like, don't speak to me like that. Don't do that kind of thing to me. I have a husband, I'm married. And if my husband were to be there, we'll probably just look at each other, laugh it off, because it's like, that's the person's problem. It's not our problem. It's only our problem if we show a likeness to it. So if we start doing, oh yeah, thanks, that's so nice, but it's not our problem if we don't show a likeness to it. It's their problem. So we would just laugh it off, and that's like a normal way of reacting, right? But at the time, I thought it was normal that, like, he's getting mad about it. Oh, that's cute. Like, he's a bit jealous, you know, like, oh, everybody wants a little bit of jealousy. Like, there's normal jealousy, which everybody has, and there's jealousy that's just a different level. So that's like one circumstance that happened. Then there are a few more red flags that happened along the way. So I can't remember all of them, and I'm not going to call all of them off the top of my head, because there would probably be a lot. And like I said, I'm not here to judge anyone. I'm not here to put anyone down in the pits. I'm not here to talk negatively about somebody. I'm just here to share my story so that we can all grow together. Share my story so that anybody that's going through something like this knows that it's not normal, knows that there's a better way, like there's a less painful way to be in a relationship. And even if you are like this, if you're the person that's being toxic, that's being like this right now, there is a way out. Like, you can change. You can change with your partner that you're with right now, or you can move on to a different relationship and change with them. Like, it doesn't mean that you're forever going to be like that, because even me, like I said, through the pain and the fear, I became a bit toxic. I really did. Like, in my second relationship, there were even things that I did that were toxic that I look back on now and I think that was really bad of me. That was not good. That was not righteous. That was not loving. That was not kind. That probably made him feel terrible. But I took those things from my previous relationship because I normalized them so much. Like, at first, it might have been out of fear. It might have been out of not knowing what a normal relationship was. But later on, I now use that in my second relationship to become like a more toxic person. Until I met my husband, before I met my husband, when I met God and I started healing myself, started knowing what was normal. Like, even throughout my second relationship, it was a lot less toxic than the first one. I would say that it was a lot more peaceful. Like, we had a balance of like good times, bad times. We had a balance of like it might have been toxic in different ways, but it wasn't to that level. So I was starting to learn and grow in that relationship, but it wasn't until after the second relationship that I realized, okay, like, this is who I am and this is who I'm called to be. This is who I want to be. So anyway, another red flag that happened during the relationship. So this is now in a different restaurant we're working in. So at the time we were working in a couple of restaurants, purely because the first restaurant didn't really have many hours for us. So also his mum, just to like add it into it, his mum was working in the restaurant. His mum, like, she's just like the kindest, like, most amazing, like, I don't want to talk, it's weird to like talk about your ex's mum like that, but, and also like I'm trying to be respectful to my husband too, but she's like a lovely lady, she really is. So at the time she was working with us, when I first started dating him, she like found out. She was so kind, she was so lovely. Like, when we were first together, she would invite me out, like, even during the relationship, like, we'd go shopping together. Like, she was just always, I don't know, she was almost like that lady in my life that I needed growing up. So my mum's an amazing mum, and she really has worked hard for us. She really has done a lot for us, and I love her for that. And she's also been through a lot. I think she didn't really necessarily know growing up what like, maybe she's not really the kind of person to like we've never cuddled on the sofa together, we've never gone on a shopping trip together. Like, I remember like us going to museums or whatever, like, as a family, but she's different. Like, it's just different. Our relationship is so different. And I know that she's been through a lot, and some of those things are because of that. I know that some of it is just personality. Like, maybe I'll do a video on that one day if my spirit leads me to do that. But I know that some of it's personality. Like, it's all different kinds of things. So it was just a different relationship. I felt like it was a lady that I needed in my life at the time. It was somebody that helped me, somebody that inspired me. So anyway, we had a good relationship, and I think that was one of the hard things when we broke up, because I wanted to stay in connection with his mum, but I knew that wasn't healthy for me to do. I knew that, like, that's not going to be nice to, let's say, a future partner. Like, imagine right now me and my husband going to meet my ex's mum. Like, it's not normal. It's not something you want to be doing. So I knew that, so I had to step away from her. But I like, that was a hard thing for me to do. So anyway, at the time, we were in a relationship. We were working in a restaurant, and there were like, in restaurants, like, obviously you have the people cooking the food, you have the chefs, you have the people on the floor, the waitresses, waiters, you have bosses, so they're the people cleaning the tables. Like, you just have different people doing different stuff. So at the time, there was a guy who worked in the kitchen, and I don't know if there was something he said about me or something. Like, my ex just seemed to have a fascination around this guy. Like, he seemed to think that the guy was into me for whatever reason, and there would always be problems. Like, there would always just be a problem. Like, anytime, like, just me going to collect the food to go and give it to my table, like, he'd be watching and he'd be angry just at that. So there would always be, like, conflicts about that. He didn't really like that. He didn't like the guy. He didn't like anything to do with the guy. He just, I don't know if he heard something one day that I don't know, that I didn't hear. I don't know if the guy, like, might have been too friendly, like, about me. I don't know. I just don't know, because to me, he might have been, like, smiley. Yeah, he was a bit smiley to me, but he never showed a sign of, like, I'm really interested in you. Like, I really want to know you. So I don't know. Maybe I can't remember the time. Like, maybe I can't remember things he said or did that my ex told me at the time. But I just know that from my personal point of view, I don't think he did anything that I thought, okay, that's really, like, off or wrong. So anyway, he used to have a problem with him, and then he would just sort of, like, have problems with, like, any guy. Like, not any guy that spoke to me necessarily, but any guy that he just, like, any small thing that happened that he felt like he didn't like, it would turn into a big problem. So at the time, there used to be, like, a staff table, and that's where everybody goes to sit to eat their lunch. And that was just the protocol of the restaurant. Like, you always go to that table to sit down and eat your lunch. So one day I went to sit down at the table to eat my lunch, and I'm sat there waiting for the food. Then when the food came out, I'm sat eating. Now somebody else, another man, not the same guy, but a different guy, he now wanted to go on his lunch break. So he came to sit at the table with me. So now he's sat opposite me. I'm just on my phone, eating my food, like, minding my own business. And my ex, like, we didn't even talk, didn't even say hello to him. And my ex got so mad about the fact that he came to sit with me, that he got the serving tray, another serving tray, and he threw it across the restaurant this time. Like, he just threw it down, and he stormed off into the kitchen. Like, he started shouting at the guy, started shouting at me. Like, I know there was a lot of swearing, like, a lot of shouting, and his mum had to physically hold him back to not, like, do worse. And then his mum had to, like, take him into the kitchen so that it's not in front of the customers. And as he went into the kitchen, he was trying to get out the door, trying to pull it. Like, there was a little room where you get dressed, so he was trying to get out there, trying to pull it, like, get out. His mum was, like, physically holding him in there, and it was a bit of a, like massive red flag. Then I think that's when I started realizing, okay, like, this is a bit more than I thought I'd got myself in for. So then later on, after that happened, he now, like, there was another event. Let me just go with the red flags first. So one day, we were on the bus going to college, and this guy must have been about 70 or 80 years old. Like, he was a very old man. He came over, sat by us, he made a joke, and I laughed at the joke. Like, he's an old man, he's old enough to be my granddad. So he made a joke, I laughed at it, I thought it was funny. I thought, oh, old man trying to be cute, make a little joke on the bus. He was furious. He said I was flirting with the man. Sorry, it's just funny to me because like flirting with somebody old enough to be my granddad. He said, how can you laugh, you're flirting with him? And just for context, like, he didn't say anything inappropriate, like it was just a funny little joke. So he was furious. We got to college and he stormed off. He stormed up to one of his friends, who at the time, like, that guy was his best friend, like they'd been through a lot together, so they'd like been in school together and everything. So he went up to his best friend and he was shouting. He said, he's so angry, I was flirting with a guy on the bus. So at first his best friend turned to me, he said, Lucy, that's really wrong, like that's not fair of you, why would you flirt with somebody on the bus? And I now said, can you tell him how old the guy is, please? He now said, oh, the guy's like, it's not relevant. So I now said, the guy is old enough to be my granddad. He was like 70, 80 plus. So his friend now started laughing and he said, come on, like, he used his name. He said, come on, you can't be getting furious about that. Like, he's old enough to be our granddad. So that's like this is the level of how things were, really. So then I'd say, so then now we're like obviously having sexual relationship together, sleeping together. So now I become pregnant. So a lot of other like red flags happen in between, by the way, but just like, if I get into it, we'll be here for hours. And like I said, we're here for growth, we're here for personal change. We're not here to dwell on the past, we're not here to hate on other people for what's happened in life. We're here to look at change, we're here to look at transformation, to look at what God's done in our lives. God has blessed me so much in all situations. Like, God saved my life in so many ways. So that's what I'm focusing on, that's what I'm looking at here. So anyway, I get pregnant and I just did not know what to do. I did not know. I went with my best friend to go and take a pregnancy test. I think I went to the pharmacy. I'm not sure if, because I know like there were a couple of instances like that where I went to like take a pregnancy test or whatever. I'm not sure if that particular day it showed that I was pregnant or not, but I just know that I like went with my friend to the pharmacy, and then like, I'd love to ask her, maybe she'll remember more, I don't know. But then I remember being at home, like I was at home with him, we did a pregnancy test and we saw that I was pregnant. And or was it the one from with my friend that I took home? I can't even remember. But I just know that we had this pregnancy test that said I was pregnant. It was positive. So then I showed him. He was like, oh wow, like this is exciting. But also, what do? We're 17. He was 18. What do? We're young. We're in college. Like, we don't have any money. We're living at his parents' house at this time. So I'd like basically moved out to live at his parents' house at the time. It wasn't something that we agreed that I'd live there, but I just ended up staying there more and more. And then his dad in the end said, oh, do you want to just move in? So I did just move in. So at the time, I remember being so scared because I'd like seen a side that I didn't like and that I knew wasn't good for children. And I too wasn't maybe the best too. So I just knew that it wasn't a good combination. So now his mum, like he said, oh, let's tell my mum. And like I said, like his mum was so nice. So I thought, okay, let's tell your mum. So we told his mum. She got so excited. She was shouting, I'm going to be a grandma. Like, I can't wait. I can't wait for this. It's amazing. Oh, you're pregnant. Like, jumping up and down, all excited. That was not the reaction I expected to get. Like, now looking back on it, yeah, I probably should have expected it because she was just like that kind of person. But if I were to tell my parents, they would probably be like, what? What do you mean you're pregnant? Like, what's going on? I was too scared to tell my parents. I was too scared because I really thought that my parents would be like, oh, this is terrible, why would you do this, like, you're so young. Like, I was just scared. I wouldn't necessarily say my parents were strict growing up, but they weren't like very laid back like that. there was somewhere in the middle. Like, it depended on what it was. Some things they were very strict with, some things they were very laid back with. So it was kind of like combined to somewhere in the middle. So she now got so excited about it, said she's going to be a grandma. I said, oh, how do we tell your dad? Because his dad was more like stern. He wasn't the kind of person that would be jumping up and down. He would be like, what's going on? What are we going to do? Like, what's your plan? Like, how are we dealing with this? So then she got really excited about it. And now that conflicted me, because if I'm being honest, my first thought was, I'm too young. Like, there's so much going on in this relationship. I'm scared. This is not a good place for a baby, and I don't want to have this baby. And then I was thinking to myself afterwards, like, it was the first time that I thought, why are we sleeping together? Like, why am I in this sexual relationship if I don't want to have a baby? Like, and I don't have any IUD, copper coil, contraceptive, like whatever it is. I'm not using any of those things. So why am I here? So then after that happened, it was hard. It was so hard for me, because now I felt like I need to now tell her that I don't want this baby, but she's so excited about it. She wants to be a grandma. She did kind of like, weirdly enough, like, she was so excited, but then she supported me through the whole like abortion journey. So she took me to the hospital, she picked me up, she looked after me, like she did a lot for me. So it's kind of like contradicting, because if you want it, but at the same time you're helping me get rid of it. So, and like, I'm so young, I don't really know what's going on, I don't really know what to do, and you're the only person I've come to for advice. So I don't really know where she really stood with it. Did she really want us to have the baby or not? I'm not really sure. But I think at the time me and her got along very well, so maybe she saw it as a means of like, me and her son would stay together. So perhaps that's how she saw it at first, I don't know. But then maybe after, she realized that maybe that's not what we want. And I don't know, like, it was just a lot all at once. So we go to the hospital, and I believe at first, like, you have to call in. I don't really remember too much of the process beforehand. Like, it was quite a scary thing to do at that age. So you have to call in, and because I was under 18, I couldn't like go there by myself. Like, I couldn't just consent to do it myself. I had to have signing of a parent or guardian or an adult, and she was the one to sign that form. So because I was just so scared, like, I was too scared to tell my parents. I didn't want them to like be against me, I didn't want them to judge me, I didn't want them to like think I'm stupid for being in that position. So I didn't tell them. So she now helped us go there. She took me to the hospital, she helped me call them, like, helped me set up the whole process. So now I go there, and this is like, bearing in mind, I don't want this to be happening. Like, I want to hide it from people. Like, I want it to be a secret. I don't want people knowing that I'm having this abortion, because even though I wasn't a Christian at the time, like, I felt like morally it's not the best thing to do. Like, you're killing, like, it's not, is it killing? Like, I don't know. I don't want to word it wrong too, but you're like getting rid of what's inside of you, basically. And that didn't sit right with me. I didn't feel right about it, but I didn't feel like I had another choice. Like, I was fearful, like, I was scared, and I just knew, like, that was the first time that I knew that this relationship isn't good for me. Like, this relationship isn't something that I want to be in. But I still, like, it's still like my first love. Like, it's still the person that took my virginity, like the person that, like, you, and that kind of connection you feel to somebody that took that, it's a lot. So I think I was very connected in that sense. And growing up, I always told myself that I only want to be with one person. Like, I only want to sleep with one person. I don't want to sleep with other people. So I kind of, like, at the time felt like, oh, that was it. Like, I've already done it now, so I've got to stay with this person. So after we did the abortion, because I didn't want anybody to know, I continued working, I continued going to college. I don't think I even took a day off. Like, I remember going into work, and I'm wearing one of the big nappies, you know, like the big grandma nappies, and I'm bleeding profusely. Like, I just remember that. And I remember going to the bathroom to sort myself out, coming back out, and just carrying on like nothing happened. So it was a bit of a crazy time. Then after that happened, like, I just, every day, like, I think I got very down. I felt like I'd, like, killed my child. I'd done something, and what if God never, like, I didn't know God at the time, but what if I never have a child again? Like, what if, I don't know, like, I've just done this thing that's so wrong. Was it the right decision to make? It was such a big decision for such a young person. And I think a lot of the responsibility fell on me, because even though, like, they both agreed with it, I feel like there was, like, more of them that wanted it than me that wanted it. So I didn't know what to do, and I was just down. I ended up leaving college. I didn't finish college. I ended up just, like, struggling after that. I was working in a restaurant. That's all I was doing for a long time. And I just didn't know where I wanted to go with my life. I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know who I wanted to be. I felt like I'd, like, failed at so many things. I felt like life had just hit me in so many different ways. I felt like I've done this terrible thing, and, like, I didn't want anybody to know about it. But on the day that I went there to do it, somebody that used to live, like, down his road was actually there too, and she also went to our college. I didn't really know her, like, we weren't really friends, but we sort of knew of each other, like, from living on the same road. So I was just worried that she's going to spread my story, tell everybody, because she was more open about her life. I feel like, like I said, I don't really know her, but she just came across as that person that's, like, very open, and she, like, didn't really mind. Like, she might have been through what I've been through. Like, she might have been through the worst and hated it all too. Or it might be like what I'm sensing, where she just seemed like she was casual about it, like it's just another day for her. So, and that's not to say that she didn't find it tough. Like, I feel like anybody would find this kind of thing tough. Like, anybody who's been through it, anybody who was thinking of doing it, like, it's just know that God has another way for you. That God has a better way for you. And that's not to say don't do it or stay in abusive relationships. No, God will find a way for you to get away from those things and still look after you and the baby. And that's something I know now. And I feel like now, would I have made different decisions back then if I knew those things now? Possibly. But I don't want to sit and lie. I don't want to say fully, like, yes, I would, because I really don't know. If I were to be in that situation now, with the wisdom I have now, I really don't know what I would do. Maybe I wouldn't have been sleeping with somebody who I didn't want that to happen with. That's something I could have done, but I don't know what I would have done. So anyway, like, I think that sort of made things worse. So after that happened, things in the relationship just escalated, got out of control. I think we kind of, like, knew that we didn't really want to be together, but we didn't really know how to leave. And there was like we did, like, have what we thought was love at the time. Like, we had really good times as well. Like, we used to go out, we used to have good times, like going out to eat, going out to the beach, like wherever it was. Like, we used to have good times. So I don't think we've ever been to the beach, actually, but, like, we'd go out places, cinema, whatever it is. So we did have good times together too. But I think at that point we just knew that this isn't for us. This isn't what, like, God wants for us. So God just, like, saved me from that situation. God just knew that it wasn't right for me. He knew it wasn't right for anybody in the situation. And, like, the hardest part, so after that happened, the relationship was just going downhill. Like, things were just not going well. Things were terrible. So we're now living together. One day he goes to work. At the time, he was working in a factory. He goes to work, and he's taking this bus to work, so he's going back and forth from work. And there's a girl on the bus, like, who he knows, like, he kind of knows that girl. And he didn't make out, like I remember asking him to be like, oh, who's that girl? Like, just, like, at the time, like I said, we were both a bit toxic. Like, you just anyway, like, knowing who somebody is isn't a problem, but the way I wanted to know it, like the intention behind it wasn't great. Like, I kind of, like, I guess my spirit now was maybe telling me something, but I asked him, he was like, oh, he doesn't really know her, like all these kind of things. And then I later like found her number on his phone and a message from her, and it wasn't like, the message wasn't anything like, the message didn't sit right with me, but it wasn't anything of like graphic nature or anything flirty or whatever. It was just a normal message, but I just knew that it didn't sit right with me. So I now question him about it, which like anytime like we used to, like I used to question him about it, it would get explosive. Like it wouldn't just be, oh, this is what it is. Like everything would get defensive, explosive, whatever else. So it didn't go well. We ended up having a big argument about it, and then things got a little bit aggressive. Like I ended up, like I said, I was a bit toxic too at the time. I ended up smashing a picture frame, and from that picture frame he took a shard of glass, like a big shard, and he was chasing me around the house with it, trying to stab me with it. So I was literally like terrified for my life. I thought that was it. I really did. But God had other plans for me. Like God had plans to prosper me. God had plans to keep me here, to spread my message, to speak to everyone here. Like God just had better plans. He knew I had more in my life. He knew that I was meant to be here. He knew that I was meant to stay. So I always say that it was God like sending his mum to save me. But at the time, his mum literally like, so the bathroom used to be like here on this side, and then you'd have the stairs here, and then the front door was like here. So she, like, I'm running down the stairs as he's chasing me with this thing, and she like opens the door as I get to this side of the door where the bathroom is, and he's like this side where the stairs are. She opens the door, so she's now literally in the middle of us. And she now starts like she's seeing what's going on, so she starts shouting like, what's going on? Like, so she starts shouting at him, and just like shouting at him to see like what's happening, like why are we doing this? And then she had to like tell me to go in the bathroom and lock myself in, which I was already like doing. Like as she came in, I was running and locked myself in because I'm terrified. I'm so scared. So she had to stop us. I don't know if I remember it correctly. Like I don't know if after the shard of glass, if he took a knife too from the kitchen, because I remember him going to the kitchen and taking something. And like, as I remember it, I feel like it was a knife, but I'm not sure. Like I don't want to say that because I'm not 100% sure if that is what it was or if that is what happened. But I just know that he tried to stab me with this glass. Like that's something I know 100% for sure. And I'm pretty sure he tried with a knife too. But I just know that was crazy. And at the time, I remember telling my mum, like, oh, like so that was the day that I knew, okay, like this relationship's done. Like, I can't be here. This is not safe. This is not a good environment. I don't like this. So I went on a drive with his mum. She said, right, let's go out. Like, I want to take you out. And she was literally like begging me, like, stay with this guy. Like, oh, I love you. I don't want to lose you. And I think like she'd been through a lot in her life. Like his dad was like not his stepdad that she's with now, but his dad that she was with, like to have him, was like a lot more than that, like a lot more intense than that. He used to do a lot of things. It was a very, very toxic relationship. So I guess in some sense she kind of like normalized those things in some ways. So I guess to her, she didn't realize like people can die from these kind of things. Like toxic relationships are real. They're crazy. Like people can die, things can happen, bad things can happen, crazy things can happen. So, and I'm not saying that's what was going to happen to me. I'm not saying it wasn't what was going to happen to me. Like, just take what you want from the story. So I guess she normalized it. She wanted me to stay, but I just told her I can't. Like, I really can't. I can't be in this kind of relationship. I can't. Like, it's not doing anything good for me. So then after we broke up, like, things didn't stop. So he would do things like follow me to my workplace with his friends. Like, they would turn up at my workplace randomly. His friends would know everywhere I was going and tell him. So like, I would go to the gym one day, his friend would see me in the gym and tell him where I am. Like, he would like call me 24/7. I would block numbers. I'd be called from a different number at the time. So at the time, that kind of led me into like, because he was doing this for 6-7 months plus, like I'm even talking 6-7 months, like intensely for 6-7 months. At some point I even had to warn him that if you keep doing this, like I will get a restraining order, because it was that level of intensity, like it was that bad. So anyway, he's doing this thing. I'm now wondering like what to do. At the time I didn't know what a restraining order was until I met my like second partner. So a few months passed by. I now like start dating another person, and things with that person like just move so quickly, because I was scared of like, I was like, I just want to be honest, like I said, I'm not here to badmouth anybody, like I'm not here to say that he's this person, but at the time he was this person and I was scared of this person. And because of that, when I started dating my second boyfriend, I just like we rushed the relationship so much. I was basically living with him after like a month of dating. Like it was that crazy, because I was scared and I felt like that was my protection. Like at the time I'd moved back to my mum's house for a little bit. I didn't really get along with my stepdad. So like now our relationship's so much better now. I think like we've both grown as people. Like he's grown in different ways, I've grown in different ways. We're not living together too, so that makes a difference as well. But at the time our relationship was not good. Like I just knew we couldn't live together. I just knew it. And also like all the craziness, I didn't want to like tell my parents about those things at the time. Like I tried to like say things in different ways, but being like fully upfront and honest about what's happening, like I didn't know the seriousness of it. Like I didn't know that I could like very bad things could happen because of this. So I didn't tell anybody at the time about it. Like I just said, oh, we broke up, like we weren't getting along. I can't really remember what I exactly said, but I just remember like I didn't give the full story of what happened. Even till now, like I'm not sure if I've ever given them a full story. This might be the first time they're hearing it. But he would like, so now I like moved in with my new partner like very quickly. We started dating like a month later, we were living together. And that was more out of fear. Like I definitely like you're enjoying the relationship and whatever else, but that's like very, very soon to move in with somebody that you don't know. And looking back now, like I would never do that. Like even if you think you're so in love or whatever else, like get to know the person first, like get to know them better. And like our relationship, it was all right. Like I'll talk about that another day, I reckon, but it was all right in comparison. Like in comparison, it was a lot better. It's still not great, but it was a lot better in comparison. So at first, you like the first couple of months of a relationship that's not toxic, like you think, oh, this is great, like we're having a great time, it's so fun, like everyone is so happy, so at peace, like we're going out on dates, we're doing different things, and this is such a different relationship. And because that person wasn't the same, like he wasn't, he wouldn't get angry. That was like one trait he had that my ex had, that I felt like, oh, that means like he's all right, like that means he's really good. So then we like moved very fast with everything because of that. So now, like now that I'm here, like I'm here to tell my story, like God saved me, God changed me, God changed my life completely. He saved me from that time. He saved me from that period. Like I could have died that day, I really could have, but God saved me. God knew I needed to be here. So if you're going through anything like this, if you want to talk to me, if you want to talk to somebody, like make sure you speak to somebody about it. Make sure you know what's right and what's wrong. Make sure you look after yourself, stay blessed, know what toxicness is, know what greatness is, know that God can change your life. Even if you are the toxic person, know that God can change you. He can change your heart. He really can, and he does, and he will. Just come to God and show him what you're looking for. Show him what you want, what you need to be strong enough to leave, strong enough to change yourself, strong enough to not be the toxic person too. Just know that God has a story for you to tell too. So God bless you today. That'll be it for today's video. I think I've said enough for today. I think like it's a lot, it's intense for me to come on here and speak about these things, because these are things I've never spoken about before. These are things that I don't want to damage somebody's reputation speaking about these things. Like, I just want to be honest about my story. I just want to tell my story and how I grew from that, how I learned from that, how I managed with that, how God blessed me through that, how God saved me. Like, God sent his mum to protect me that day. God was there to protect me that day. God was looking after me. He was looking out for me even when I didn't know him. That was before I knew him, but he was still there for me. So I thank God for that. So God bless you all today. Thank you for watching. Stay blessed, and as always, keep rising up. Rise up to the challenge. Stay blessed and look after yourself. God bless you, my little faith family. Take care.